Okay. So I want you to take a look at what the name of section 9.5 was and compare it to the name of 9.6. So let's look at that. Look at 9.5. It says factoring x squared plus bx plus c. 9.6 is factoring ax squared plus bx plus c. Only difference is what? In front of the x, there is nothing, which means there was no coefficient, right? In front of the x squared term today, there is going to be a coefficient. And that one little number in front of that x squared term is a game changer. It changes everything. That shortcut rule that we've been using, out the window. You can't just go, oh, what multiplies to give me this and adds to give me this? Because of that pesky little coefficient, it throws everything off. So I'm going to show you two ways today to factor. One's called trial and error. And when people hear trial and error, they say, oh, means you just got to, it's like guess and check, right? Guess what it is, check it. If it's wrong, you got to redo it. Okay? Guess and check, do you sometimes get it right the first time? Which is a bonus. Sometimes, if there's 10 possibilities, does it take you all 10 before you get it? Yeah. So guess and check is kind of a gamble. All right? The second way we're going to talk about is a sure thing. You will get the correct answer every time with no guessing, no checking, but it takes a little bit more work. So you're going to get to choose today which way you would like to do the factoring. So let's start with guess and check or trial and error, okay? So to start that off, we're going to talk about with a coefficient. So let's take 2x to the third, or to the second power, not to the third yet, minus 7x plus 3. Okay? Well, if I were to just kind of go ahead, and by the way, for trial and error, you are going to want a pencil with an eraser. Because trial and error means, oops, that was wrong, let's erase it. Oops, that was wrong, let's erase it. So, first thing I'm going to do is say, well, when that 2 wasn't there, the only way to get x squared was x times x, right? Well, now it is there. So, the only way to get, we did h's last hour, the only way to get 2x squared is a 2x times an x, right? So, are you okay with that? Part 1, a little different. All right. Here, the product is a positive, which means the signs are going to be both the same, right? But my sum is negative, so that means negative, negative, right? In a pencil. So are you ready? I look at this and I say, well, 3 is a prime number, so there's only 2 possibilities, 1 times 3 and 3 times 1. So let's say 3 times 1, okay? I don't know if it's right just yet. So here's the deal. I know that this and this is going to give me that. I know that this times this is going to give me that. But what don't I know? There's a big question mark about whether or not when I FOIL this out, will I get a negative 7 as a middle term. So here's what we do. We FOIL it out. So we say 2x times x is 2x squared. 2x times negative 1 is negative 2x. Negative 3 times x is negative 3x. And technically I can stop right there. I mean, I know this is going to be a plus 3. But when I combine a negative 2x and a negative 3x, I get a negative 5x. So my final answer for this would be that. Does that match the problem I started with? No. So that is not a correct answer. It is not factored correctly. So if the number's wrong, because my goal is to get a negative 7x, but I got a negative 5x, then what should I do with the 3 and the 1? Switch them. Do you see why would switching them on Friday's work have mattered? No, because it was an x and an x. That 2 changes everything. So now I'm going to erase the 3 and erase the 1, and we're going to put the 3 here and the 1 there. Now I know what else you're thinking. I do not want to FOIL that whole problem out every single time I need to check an answer. And the good thing is you don't have to. So watch. Of FOIL, you know that the first is right because that's why you put them there. You don't need to check for the first. You know that the last term is going to be right because that's why you put them there. The only 2 that are of importance to you are the outside and the inside. So what you're going to do with your answer that you think is right is multiply your 2 outside times each other your two inside times each other, which would give you these two things, and then add them, right? So watch. Here's your O, and here's your I. What is 2x times negative 3? What is negative 1 times x? And when I add those together, what do I get? Negative 7x. Okay? So that was a trial and error. We're going to do, here's the thing for today. You have to see like a good amount of these things done. See me working through this process before you kind of get a feel for how that works. So let's do another one. Let's do this one. 3x squared plus 22x minus 16. Okay, this is really going to give you an idea of, so as I make my parentheses, 3x is prime. There's only one way to get 3 times x, or 3x squared, and it's 3x times x. Assuming we're dealing with whole numbers, we're not going to deal with 2 times 1.5. Okay? So now I pick up my pencil, and I see that my product is negative. And I say, if it's a negative product, one has to be a positive, one has to be a negative, right? Well, before, did it matter where you put the x or the plus and the minus? No, because they were both just x's. Well, right now, I don't even know if this, I'm just trying to look at what the answer is. I always just start out plus and minus. I may need to switch them. That may not be right. Now, holy cow. It's funny because to see the look on people's faces when they process like the number of trial and errors, let's think of 16. A lot of different ways to get 16. 1 times 16, not a lot, but 2 times 8 or 4 times 4. So watch. I could say 1 times 16 and check it. If that doesn't give me 22, then I could do 16 and 1. If that doesn't work, then I try 2 and 8, 8 and 2. If that doesn't work, then I try 4 and 4. What good does flipping from 4 do, though? Nothing. So my advice to you is going to be to try the two that are closest together. So let's try 4 and 4. And then remember how I said to check it? You check it as just the outside and the inside. Are you ready? We're doing an abbreviated version of FOIL. We're just doing the OI. Okay? 3x times negative 4. And then 4 times x is 4x. And when I add those together, it doesn't matter what I get because it's not 22. Right? So that's done. And eventually, some people are good enough to do this in their heads. So next thing is, what good would flipping 4 and 4 do me? Nothing. So it's not 4 and 4. Erase this. Okay? Next, I'll try 8 and 2. So let's say 8 and 2. Let's check it again. This gives me what? 6. This gives me 8. And what's 6 plus 8? Not 22. So what do I do next? Switch them. The 8 doesn't belong here. Maybe it belongs over here. 8 and 2. Do you see what trial and error means? So now let's do this. What's 3x times negative 8? And what's 2 times x? We're getting somewhere. Because what does that give me? It gives me negative 22. I don't need negative 22. I need it to be a positive 22. So what flips now? Go ahead, Charlotte. Flip the signs. So in other words, this should be the plus and this should be the minus. Okay? So here's the deal with trial and error. Yeah, it kind of took us a few times to get it, but is there ever going to be a time where you're like, I get it right on the first try? You pick the exact right things, you put the plus in the exact right spot, it happens. So it's kind of a gamble. Again, you kind of just have to take your chances there. So I want you to try this one. 2h squared plus 13h minus 7. So here's kind of a bonus. 2 and 7 are both prime, so I don't need to deal with this. It's either 1 and 7 or 7 and 1, right? So go ahead and give that one a shot, and let's see what you get. Start you off there. First try? Yeah. It's so funny, but when I'm going to show you a problem in a minute that's going to be like, holy cow, it's going to blow your mind. You're going to be like, nope, I'm never doing trial and error, but you'll see. Now, I've been teaching trial and error for as long as I've been teaching math. That's the way I do it. I did not start X Factor until last year, but it's pretty cool. So, and guess what? I'm talking as you guys are writing, but is anybody visual enough to kind of, before you write it, picture it? You know what I mean? Like, I would say to myself,
Excuse the interruption. If you could make the 7th grade softball and baseball players for early release today. Thank you.
Okay, those of you who are leaving, I am at minute 11. So if you want to watch the video notes for the other way, go to minute 11 of the videos on the YouTube. So if I put 7 here, that'll give me 14. So I'm good. So let's just do this. Let's try 7 and 1. Check it. This gives me negative 14H, positive 1H, which gives me negative 13H. Oh, I was so close. I just need to what? Switch the signs. So this is the plus, and this one is the minus. Got it? Okay. Trial and error, not so bad until you get a problem that looks like, I gave the most like crazy problem. And you may not see one like this, but like if it was 12, it's probably not going to factor correctly. Plus 3x minus 24. So let's think about this. So you could technically say 12x times x. And with that, you could do 1 and 24, 24 and 1. 2 and 12, 12 and 2. 3 and 8, 8 and 3. 6 and 4, 4 and 6. And what if none of those worked? Then you switch the 12 and the x to 3x and 4x, or 2x and 6x. Then you do 1 and 24, 24 and 1. Yes. Do you see what I'm saying? When these numbers on the end are like have a lot of factors, the amount of trials that you can technically go through like goes up exponentially. So trial and error, not a bad method to use maybe when you're dealing with prime numbers. Okay, are you good with trial and error? Okay, did you try one on your own? I'm going to give you one more to try that's not prime. Let's just say 3x squared minus 17x plus 10. Okay, so just try that real quick. And my advice to you is probably 90% of them are going to be, like, it's very rarely going to be like 10 and 1. It's always going to be the factors that are closest together. So, and I was good to you. I gave you 2 signs that are the same. Anybody get it on first try? Put it in the right spot? Yeah, that's kind of a little bonus there. So anybody look at this and say, well, if I put the 5 here, that's 15 plus 2. Yeah. So 5 here, 2 there, done. I mean, technically you just checked it by doing 15 plus 2, 17. Okay? Good? All right.